Hey guys, and welcome to the 12th video in the series Becoming Well Read. This is a series where I talk about one of the books I've recently read in an attempt to become well read. In the 11th episode of Becoming Well Read, we actually spoke about Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter by Seth Grahame-Smith. And today, we're going to be talking about Night Shift by Stephen King. So the copyright in Night Shift says 1978, and what this is a compilation of a lot of short stories written by Stephen King. Some of the short stories you may have heard of because at least one of them was a movie. I'm not going to review every single one in here because there is a lot of content in this book, even though it doesn't look that thick. As a matter of fact, there are 20 stories in this book, which is, I think that's a large amount of stories. That's a good amount of stories to have in a compilation. To write 20 stories for a book, yeah. Some of the stories in this compilation stood out to me. I'm just going to talk about them. The very first one was called Jerusalem's Lot. Now, if you've been following this video series, you know that I read Salem's Lot, which takes place in Jerusalem's Lot. This story actually takes place in the same location, but many years before. So this guy was in Jerusalem's Lot because someone in his family had died and he inherited a house there. He starts exploring the area. The area right close to where his house is an abandoned village, and there's like a crazy church with some demonic stuff in there, and just little by little things start going crazy. Him and I guess the person he was living with, the person who was helping him, they both get like bad vibes from the community. The people in the community do not want these people in that house because I guess there was ties to the family and dealing with like, I don't want to call it Satan worship, but like just some crazy like demonic stuff happening in that village. What I especially liked about Salem's Lot is that it set up sort of a lore that Jerusalem's Lot is a dark place, and you can see why in the future the vampires come to visit Jerusalem's Lot. It makes sense because this place sort of does have this dark history and background, which I really liked. I Am the Doorway is another story which stood out to me in this compilation. In I Am the Doorway, there's this guy who has this crazy story where he feels like aliens are viewing the world through his body. He was an astronaut of some sort, and I think he went to some planet in outer space and he came back and everybody was fine, but he started developing like these weird symptoms. Actually, it was in his hands. His hands sort of had eyes and they saw things. And it's very strange, and they did things. When their eyes saw people, they wanted to kill people. And I guess he was being controlled by these aliens. It got to the point where I think he had to like, stab them or burn them or get rid of them in some way. But eventually, they started coming back, and that's where the story leaves. Again, these are very short stories. They're not very long. But it was very strange, the way that the eyes were described, the way that they described the aliens viewing the world through his eyes, and the way they described him being taken over and compelled to do these murders. The Boogeyman was another story which really stood out to me. In The Boogeyman, there's a man who goes to the psychiatrist to talk about the Boogeyman, how the Boogeyman's been haunting him. Apparently, both of his kids had died. Very sad. But the crazy thing is that he feels responsible because before the kids died, they said that they saw the Boogeyman and that, they were afraid that the Boogeyman was going to get them, and he felt like he let the Boogeyman get them, and he felt like there was enough evidence so that to show that the Boogeyman was real. And he wasn't trying to convince the psychologist the Boogeyman was real. He just wanted to talk to somebody about this guilt that he felt, that he could have done something to save his kids, and he didn't. The story has sort of a twist ending, but it's short enough that I'm not going to ruin that twist ending. If you want to know how the kids died, if you want to know what ages they were when they died, and the twist ending, you should read The Boogeyman by Stephen King. Gray Matter was one of the creepier stories here. In Gray Matter, we have a bunch of guys standing around a convenience store, like they normally do, when a kid comes in to buy beer. Now, it's okay because he's buying beer for his dad, and I guess it's a small community. Everybody knows each other. Everybody knows that the kid comes in to buy beer for his dad and doesn't drink it himself. But the kid comes in and I guess he's crying and he wants to talk to somebody. So the store owner, takes him upstairs and tries to calm him down. The wife makes the kid some dinner and the kid tells the store owner a crazy story. The story isn't told through the kid. It's told through the store owner, as the store owner's going to the kid's apartment where the dad lives with the beer. The kid is going to stay to recuperate with the store owner's wife, I guess. The story is that the dad, something happened where the beer just wasn't right one day. A few weeks ago, I guess, or a few months ago. And there was like some gray matter on the beer. It was very strange, like some kind of mold. And little by little, the dad started becoming this gray, gloopy stuff. And the dad is still alive in there, but he's not human anymore. It's very strange. It's sort of like a monster book. And he has extreme photosensitivity, a sensitivity to light. And he's like blocking all the windows and everything. And he has developed a crazy smell. And he keeps asking his kid to get him beer. And, the kid is basically living with the monster. The guys are going to see what's up with the dad and how they're going to deal with the situation. In the end of the book, when they open the door, of the three guys, two of them run away. And the story ends up with those two waiting for the third one to come back, because we don't know if he got swallowed up by the gray matter guy or not. It sort of leaves on a cliffhanger, and you have to figure out for yourself how you want it to end in your head. Now, The Ledge was one of the more entertaining stories in this book. It's about a man who slept with, I guess, this mobster's wife. The story starts off with the man being caught by the mobster in the mobster's apartment, and the wife was off somewhere. I guess she had ran off somewhere, and the mobster knew where the wife was and was offering the guy money to leave the wife, not because the mobster or criminal rich dude loved his wife, but because he didn't like other people to have his things. The mobster was a gambling man and made the guy a deal, and the deal was this. It's very simple. Go out to the balcony, walk along the ledge of the apartment, like all the way around the building, and come back on the other side, and we don't kill you or the mobster's wife. And it's a kind of crazy story because there's not a lot of space on the edge of on that ledge of the apartment, and I don't want to ruin it for you, but that story was very thrilling. It was one of the more interesting ones in this compilation. Now, Quitters Inc. was unique in this compilation because it stood out to me. It dealt a lot with human psychology and basically the way the human mind works and how to change things. This guy was a smoker or a drinker or something, and he wanted to quit. He never really did quit, but it was on his resolution list every year. A friend of his that he used to know gives him a card to this company called Quitters Inc. And he said that they really helped him to quit. And so he goes and see what's up. They say, they don't do, give drugs or medicines or anything. And the treatment has started. And the treatment is that if he smokes or does anything that he's not supposed to, they will grab his wife or his kid and shock his wife and his kid. And if it gets worse, they will do things to his wife and kid, like chop off a finger or something. It's very, very, very horrible, but because a person doesn't want to see their loved ones go through these things, they quit. They have a very high success rate, and so, yeah, that's what ends up happening. So the story gets really good when you see what happens to this one man and what happens when he messes up to his family, how they take it, how he reacts and takes it. They don't stop at smoking, because the next time he comes in, they're like, okay, step on the scale. And they weigh him, and they're like, well, you should be this weight, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to lose weight. Later at the end, he meets up with his friend, and he notices things. And I won't say what those things are, but you should definitely read this book if you want to know. This is one of my favorite stories in this compilation. I'm going to run through the last 3 or 4 stories with a bit of quickness now. There's one called I Know What You Need, And I Know What You Need revolved around this young girl. I guess she's in college, she has a roommate, and there's this guy in the library who basically knows everything that she needs, everything that she wants, and he gives it to her. And she's so happy in this relationship with him. It doesn't get creepy until the end when her roommate says, hey, this guy is really creepy, like you should be careful. The girlfriend starts to investigate and she finds that there's, I could only describe it as a voodoo doll of her in his closet. She visits his apartment when he isn't there and she finds it and it sort of freaks her out. And he used these abilities of his, just crazy stuff about this guy, and he was like perfect to her. He was really nice to her, but you never know what people have hidden in the closet, and that sort of stays with me. Like, you never know what kind of supernatural things might be going on. Of course, that's not real life, that's just the story, but it was really freaky. The next story is one you may know because it was made into a movie, and that's Children of the Corn. If you've seen the movie, you know what this is about. It's a bunch of kids that become ultra religious and they kill off all the adults, and they have children of their own at a very young age, and they decide what the maximum age limit is that someone should live, and at that age they walk into a corn, and there seems to be some kind of evil entity or deity or power in the corn that takes people. Now, that's just the backstory. That's not even what happens in this book. What happens in this book is that this couple is driving along a road through the cornfields, and something comes out and they hit it, and it turns out to be a kid, and they realize that the kid, I guess his throat was cut or something before they hit him, so they didn't cause his death. He was just, I guess, thrown out of the corn and they hit it. So they go into the town that now, of course, is somewhat abandoned. It's run by kids, but the kids don't show themselves until it's too late, and they don't like outsiders. You know, they're ultra religious and they just want to be left alone to their own devices. Some crazy religious stuff is found by these two people, I guess the husband and wife, and they're like the entire time they're bickering themselves because they're having problems with their relationship as well. And you know, when the kids find them, yeah, it just gets really messy really fast. The last story I want to talk about in this compilation is One for the Road. Now, One for the Road again brings us back to Jerusalem's Lot. So this is the third story I've read about Jerusalem's Lot. There was Salem's Lot, the novel, Jerusalem's Lot, the first story in this compilation, and One for the Road. I'm just trying to make this clear because Stephen King has built an entire world, and many of his novels, especially the Castle Rock novels, are connected. And so what happens in this story is that I guess these tourists were passing through Jerusalem's Lot, and it's in the middle of winter, and Jerusalem's Lot by this time is abandoned. It happened after the events of Salem's Lot. The man with his wife and child were in a car, these tourists, and they got stuck in the snow, and the man decides to go out and to basically find help, and eventually he comes upon this bar. It's Maine, it's cold, and it's the middle of winter, and in this bar there's only the barkeep, you know, the owner, and one of his patrons that have been there for a long while. They both hear about him leaving his car with his wife and child abandoned in Jerusalem's Lot while he walked, you know, miles over to them. And they're in a safe area. They're in an area where I guess the vampires haven't reached yet. They decide to go look for the wife and kid in this vampire-infested area in the middle of the night on roads that are essentially plowed. Well, before they leave the bar, they have One for the Road. That's where the title comes from. But they get to the car where the wife and child was, and they're no longer there. It's really freaky what happens. It's basically, let's say, a good story to read one night where you want a quick ghost story to read. I really enjoyed that book. I'm not going to say exactly what happens, but let's put it this way. Not all three of them come back. You do see the wife and child again, and it's not good. I won't destroy exactly what happens or who gets it, or the relationships that happen, or the personalities of these characters, because that's where I think the story really lies. If you've liked the stories that I've spoken about, if you've read Night Shift, leave comments down below. I'm not going to say it's one of my favorite compilations by Stephen King. I really like Different Seasons, and I really like Everything's Eventual, which I probably will get to sometime down the road. That's Night Shift by Stephen King. And as is the fashion, this is the part of the video where I tell you the next book I'm going to be reviewing. And I'll probably upload that video, the next video after this, of Becoming Well Read 13, about a week after this one, because I'm trying this new upload schedule where I record on weekends, I edit the video sometime throughout the week on my commute to work, and I upload it sometime throughout the week. And so for the next video, I'm actually going to be talking about Politically Correct Holiday Stories by James Finn Gardner. So this was the last book that I completed in 2018. But if you've read Stephen King's Night Shift, if you enjoyed this book, leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on it. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe to get more content like this. Thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one. Ciao.